I'm going to explain condominium buildings to anyone who's never been in one, because the whole comment section is suggesting a lot of things that are not possible, as if condos are like hotel rooms, and I do not want anyone thinking it's possible to knock on my door. The first thing is that condominium buildings are locked to the street, and in order to get in the lobby, you need to scan your fob to unlock the door. And then your second level of security is that once you get in the elevator, it doesn't fucking work until you scan your key again. And this fob only gets you to your floor, the floor of your parking, and the floor of your amenities. I actually viewed a condominium building in Langley the other day where they didn't have that feature, and once you can get into the lobby, you have free range of the whole fucking building, and I will not live there, because nobody who is not on my floor should ever have access to my fucking floor. Keys also give me access to my parking spot floor and the floor of the amenities. But if I want to go visit somebody else in my building on a different floor, I have to go downstairs and use the buzzer system. So my buzzer is this big fucking metal thing outside with a bunch of numbers on it, and there's a specific code that will ring my cell phone. So I'll get a call on my phone saying buzzer, and I'll pick it up and I can talk to whoever's outside. And if it's someone that is supposed to be coming here, I can beep beep, buzz their ass, the front door will open, and then they can get in the elevator and press my floor and it will work. And then obviously if you're in someone's condo building and you want to go to the ground, anybody can just press ground, but that's the only button you can click. Different buildings have different time limits on it. I've seen some buildings where it's 30 seconds from getting buzzed to having to click the elevator button, which is wild because sometimes elevators take a long time. People also suggested putting up flyers or like a poster in the building being like, hey, does anyone want to help me do a photo shoot? I live across the street. That would never fly with security in my building. You can't just solicit whatever the fuck you want. It has to be like, did you lose your cat? Like, I have a condo for sale. I have a parking spot that's for rent, whatever. Like, even if right now, if someone put a sign on the front of my building saying, hey, I live across the street, I need to do a photo shoot, blah, 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 I guarantee within 10 minutes, security would have come and taken that off the door and thrown it in the garbage. Our security guards are trained to be like policy robots that are completely heartless with no soul. They don't care if it's not in the book of procedures, and it can't fucking happen. Like, well, except for me. Because I have a really good relationship with my security guards. Please, 10 more minutes in the hot tub. But ruthlessly, every day, unhoused people will try to like seek shelter at the side of the building or outside the building or in the back of the building, and they come out there and tell them to fuck off. It's bad. I've gotten upset about it. I also just can't go and put anything in their mailboxes. I would need to be a post person. I also just can't sit outside and ring their buzzer because security will fuck me up for harassment. And this has been hard with me finding a new condo. I move in 2 weeks. I need good security. The other thing I heard a lot was to go to the property manager and ask them to just let me in a vacant unit to shoot through. But these are condominiums, not apartments. Apartments are rented, or apartments are owned by the condominium and the property manager, and then they're rented out to tenants. These units in condos are all privately owned. Everyone buys their condo and then they can choose to rent it out themselves or not. So property managers don't have access to the units, and they can't grant permission to the units unless there's a fucking fireman or some shit. And these property managers are also not going to harass their homeowners and say, hey, there's some girl, she wants to do a photo shoot through the windows, can she use your unit? That just would never happen. If I asked my property manager, Abnet, to do that, he would be like, what the fuck are you talking about? No. Because they just live on policy and procedure and confidentiality and, you know, whatever the fuck corporate bullshit. The other reason that people in Vancouver are simply not going to help me is because there's a very pretentious elitist culture here. These are $500,000 to multi-million-dollar condominium buildings sitting directly next to an extreme opioid crisis and extreme unhoused crisis. So there is people living in extreme poverty outside of our buildings, people overdosing and dying outside of our buildings on the sidewalk, and people literally turn their empathy off and force themselves not to give a fuck about other people to justify the fact that our rent could put 6 other people in a shelter. So people are just not as inclined to like care about their community and shit like that. It's more like keep to yourself and like one man, like kill everyone to survive type mentality, and people just turn off their empathy. So that's another factor I think that has to do with people not being like, oh my god, yeah, let's accommodate this, let's figure this out, this is fun, like let's go on an adventure together. The vibe that I would feel like maybe I could get in a different city. But in Vancouver, it's very like, Why would I help you? Is this a networking opportunity for me? What is this gonna do for me? Who are you, peasant? What's your fucking credit score? I also wanted to say that it has been my dream since I was a really little kid to live in a hotel room like Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, because I grew up in a really small town where we didn't have any buildings that were over like 2 stories. Maybe there was one 3-story building. Was there? I don't know. And we would go to Edmonton, which was a big, huge city, like a 3-hour drive away, to go back to school shopping or for, I don't know, random things, hockey, dance. And we would stay downtown in these big high-rises and the city lights. I've always been a night owl, so I've never been able to sleep at night. And when I was in the city and there's all these lives going around, and I would just sit at the window all night and just watch and look into other people's like lives and see other people that were awake at night too, because when I was awake at night I felt like I was the only person on the entire earth, and that I was like a completely separate human to everybody else, because everybody slept during the day or slept during the night, and it just made me feel so lonely and empty inside. But I also preferred it at the same time. But to know that there's other like lonely, empty people sitting there, like I love how there's like 2 people in that building that keep their blinds open and are like sitting watching TV at 3 o'clock in the morning too. But just privilege check, I want to say I'm so grateful to be able to live in a home like this, and it's not possible without you guys and your support over the years. I love you so much. And I don't want to fucking move from this place ever. This is the most beautiful apartment. You can watch my YouTube video of when I viewed it and when I got it 2 years ago. I cried my eyes out in a hotel room when I found out that I got it. And I was telling myself that that I would ball out and spend a lot of money on a place and not be able to afford anything else when I first moved to Vancouver. And then my next apartment, I'll spend like $1,700. And now that's not happening because prices have gone up. You dumb bitch, Jessica. But I'm so grateful that I got to live here. I'm convinced it's the best view of all of Vancouver. I've been in some nice ass penthouses in Vancouver, and none of them have a 180-degree view from the Science Center all the way to Five Sails and everything in between. So it has just been such a dream living here, and I'm so grateful. And I want to encompass that by doing a photo shoot that I've dreamed of my whole life. Hello.